So now we will move to Project Lyttelton. So Jacqueline Newbound. So Jacqueline, welcome to the table. Sarah, I see you're here as well. Are you going to come forward, or?
I'll come forward. There's three of us actually, Andrew. Okay.
All right, so Jacqueline, maybe you'd like to introduce the rest of your team to us. Now, you've got 5 minutes between two submissions, one on the long-term plan, one on the climate change strategy. I leave it to you to manage the whole 10 minutes as you wish across the two. So you've got 10 minutes now to address us this afternoon. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So yes, I'd like to introduce Pat Scott, who is one of our founding climate-friendly Lyttelton group, and also Sarah Vanderberg, who is the chair of Project Lyttelton. And as Andrew said, my name is Jacqueline Newbound, and I'm the manager for Project Lyttelton. So I'm going to start by just obviously reading out a statement about climate change, and then Pat's going to follow up with our response to the LTP, and then maybe we'll do questions at the end, and then you have all three of us to answer. So Project Lyttelton welcomes the Council's recognition that humanity is facing a climate emergency. Excuse me. We support most of the actions proposed in the document, although, and I'm sure you'll hear this again and again, we feel the Council's plans do not reflect the reality and the urgency which dealing with an emergency demands, but I'm sure you've heard that quite a few times. The scale of action required, the conflicting and often changing information at all levels, international, national and local, makes it difficult to see where we need to start. So then, where do we as a community organisation start? Whilst national and local government policy and programmes are essential drivers of a change at a macro level, and for the bigger sectors of our community such as agriculture and forestry, as we've just seen, it is at the local level where the speed of change will be determined. Communities need to be enabled to understand and embrace the positive outcomes, the changes that we need to make in areas such as local food, waste, energy and transport. To achieve this, Christchurch City Council needs to partner, to support and to fund local community organisations such as ourselves to take forward the policy and programmes being suggested and others yet to be developed to enable your climate change strategy to actually come alive. Christchurch City Council requires all of us to be part of the change. Project Lyttelton is proud of its record of reducing carbon emissions over the last 16 years through its projects, the Lyttelton Farmers Market, which supports local growers, the Lyttelton Community Garden growing food, community and education, the Garage Sale, which is a community op shop looking at recycling and waste, and the Lyttelton Harbour Time Bank, Learning Exchange and the LIFT Libraries, all looking to provide information. And of activating the Lyttelton Recreation Centre in partnership with Christchurch City Council and incubating other initiatives such as the Library of Tools and Things. All these projects build a culture of positive change through advocating and supporting activities around waste, repairing, reusing, upcycling, recycling, composting, and the possibilities of a localised food supply. So we now invite Christchurch City Council to again partner with Project Lyttelton as we take forward plans to bring carbon and carbon footprinting into each of these projects, as we look to localise in-place planning at how communities can deal with their waste, promote active and localised transport, support the schools and early childcare centres to engage with growing, cooking, locally produced food to meet the needs of the communities going forward. What could a partnership between CCC, your local governance teams, and the programmes you've got and programmes you've yet to develop, and a local community-based organisations such as ourselves do at a local level to bring positive incremental opportunities to a community, supported through information programmes and on-the-ground experience and learnings. So where does Project Lyttelton start? We start with ourselves. Project Lyttelton looks to bring all its projects together alongside other ideas around waste, transport, carbon and growing under the umbrella of climate-friendly Lyttelton, to embark on a journey of seeing where we can make a difference, where we can support others to make the changes we are making, and to be able to promote a positive, resilient, carbon-friendly future. So the question I'll leave you with today is, would Christchurch City Council like to join us on this journey? Over to you, Pat.
Thank you very much, Jack. Kia ora koutou. What I'm going to say on behalf of Project Lyttelton is more of an overview rather than specific, although there are specifics in it, of how the long-term plan fits with both individual households and also what's happening at the government level. And it is the climate change that's obviously the big issue that's facing us. In 2018, the world's leading climate scientists warned there were only 12 years left for global warming to be kept at a maximum of 1.5 degrees Celsius. 3 years have already passed. 2030 is only 9 years from now, and that is within the time frame of this long-term plan. From global to national to local level, we are embarking together on a massive transformation of our economy, what you, the Council, called the biggest challenge of our time. As Naomi Klein said, this changes everything. Except when we read the LTP, we find it doesn't quite seem to. Despite saying an important focus of this budget, this is a quote from the LTP, an important focus of this budget is reducing greenhouse gas emissions, it is hard to see where the reductions are. It is good, very good, that there is money committed to public transport, and also a promise to electrify the council fleet, although not until the end by 2030. There's some external funding for cycleways, water and the environment, and a vague plan, which I'm quoting, to investigate options to reduce and monitor emissions at the wastewater treatment services, and another quote, to change the design of infrastructure at the water supply network. So those are very, very general. There's no figures there at all. And that's really the main part of the emphasis on greenhouse gas emissions. We could ask how much carbon will be emitted building the new multi-use arena. Maybe you know. I don't. Does the council intend to adopt a climate-friendly building code? Will the money spent on roads encourage park and ride? And why on earth establish a new airport at Taurus? We do applaud the commitment to implement the climate change strategy, but even that is dependent on the Council adopting the Sustainability and Community Resilient Committee's document, so we urge you to do that as a Council. Sometimes it seems that the plan yearns to get back to business as usual. Here's a quote. Economic recovery is part of our COVID-19 response. Locking in the funding for this work means we can give confidence to the construction sector, among others, and in turn stimulate economic activity. Very much the old language of economic growth. But then the plan appears to recall the reality of what we face. And we have another quote. To reach our emissions reduction targets, we will need to change the way we travel, increase the use of renewable energy, improve the energy efficiency of our buildings, reduce waste, and support regenerative agriculture. Certainly these are all things that have to be done, but the two threads going through seem to be a little difficult to reconcile. We do appreciate that this is the first time that Christchurch City Council has included climate change in an LTP, and that is a huge challenge from what you've done before, and we congratulate you for facing it head on. Perhaps we have to look on this plan as a broad brush sketch, a prelude to a detailed and measured strategy, mapping where we can reduce emissions year by year. Will we have to wait 3 years before we get that? It's a lot of work. As it is now, this document leaves citizens struggling to believe that the council that the council indeed has a plan to deliver a transformative pathway to net carbon zero by 2040. At least the climate change strategy is solutions-based, with ambitious goals and community-facing programs. But it still lacks timeframes and financial and carbon budgets. Perhaps being the Council's first attempt to address climate change in an LTP, it would be surprising if it had produced a comprehensive and detailed plan. The Climate Change Commission has not yet reported its back to the government, and the government has been a bit slow off the mark. Professor Bronwyn Hayward's offer of help from those who've been working on these things in this field for a number of years will be a tremendous help to the Council. And yet we know time is not on our side. Many households have made significant changes in their lifestyle: electric cars, solar hot water and electricity, LED bulbs, cycling, eating less meat, buying local. All these things do have a significant impact on emissions. Business too is making substantial change, and now the government has introduced new regulations to make climate change reporting mandatory for big business. Councils are good at financial budgeting, but now you and all of us have to learn the new skill of carbon budgeting, and that will change everything.
We are at the end of the 10
Okay.
minutes, so we're going to need to draw this to a close.
Well, I just have one sentence. While the UN and central government create the framework, local government is where it all happens. Infrastructure, waste reduction, soil and coastal erosion, urban planning, public transport, procurement policy, a local food system, and last but definitely not least, partnering local communities to become resilient local economies while restoring our natural ecosystems. We face a big challenge.
Thank you.
Thank you. So an invitation and some challenges. Thank you very much indeed for that, and thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Less, would you?
Thank you.
Carrot before the stick.
Great, thank you.